Hello, I'm Tobey Nelson, certified professional horticulturist, coming to you from the beautiful greenhouse of Venture Out Nursery on Whidbey Island in Washington. We today are going to talk about deer-resistant plants. But this is a risky topic because the deer aren't watching this video and they never read the darn manuals to know what it is they're not supposed to eat. So these are things that are tried and true in most locations that we've experienced on Whidbey to be pretty deer-proof. Now there's a couple things that are involved in deer-resistant plants, and one can be the growth cycle that the plant is in. So sometimes in spring, when growth is new and tender, it might actually be a little bit tasty to deer, but later as the foliage ripens, it will be less palatable. Also, plants that come fresh from the nursery sometimes are real succulent and tender because they've been so spoiled and lushly grown that they might be tasty, whereas after a couple of weeks in your landscape, when the struggle of life has caused the plant to release a few chemicals into their foliage that will make the plant leaves less tasty. So I always recommend that you make your first introduction be a negative one. By spraying it with some sort of deer repellent so that when they first taste the plant, they think, oh, that thing's terrible, and maybe they'll always stay away. And then deer repellent is also great if you're, insist on growing something that isn't, a fully deer-resistant plant, but you want it anyway. That can be helpful for you. And the other thing is that fawns will try anything. They don't know what, mama hasn't taught them all the things to not eat. So there's the disclaimer. But in general, these are plants that we find to be deer-resistant, and I'm just going to walk you through them. So in our shrub department, for sun and also windy sites, we have Escallonia. There are very many types of these. They can grow from a compact shrub to more of a tall 8-foot hedge, but these are great, and especially for beaches and coasts and dry spots. Bringing some foliage color to your garden would be osmanthus. All osmanthus seem to be pretty deer-resistant for me. This is Osmanthus heterophilus, the holly-leaved osmanthus, and this is the variegata form. Even though it's holly-leaved, it is not related to the hollies. It's not all that sharp. You can pet it. It's an evergreen that will tolerate open shade or full sun. We have in the back here Ceanothus, which is a nice evergreen shrub. These tend to get about 6 to 12 feet tall. The blue flowers are loved by bees, and they're flowering now in May, or sorry, we're in June now. Time flies. So these are a great plant. And then the choisya. This happens to be choisya, well, this isn't Sundance. I don't know who this is, Aztec Gold or something, but this is a yellow choisya. These plants do grow in full sun, but they're also great in a nice open shade where their color will be a little more vivid. And they make a nice, 4 to 5 foot rounded shrub with very fragrant white flowers in the summer. Barberries are an excellent way to bring leaf color to your garden, and the deer do not like them. They are thorny, but they are great for foliage color all season, and especially fall color. You can get them in oranges and reds and plums. Great plants. Then many evergreens are deer resistant. This happens to be a Chamaecyparis. The whole family of Chamaecyparis tends to have deer resistance, and they're great for year-round foliage color. They'll take a little bit of moisture. So yeah, Chamaecyparis are great. For the shade, we have this Fatsia called Fatsia spiderweb, and this plant is great for shade or a little partial shade, good for pots or in the ground. And Fatsias can get to be 6 to 8 feet tall, but they also can be maintained to be short. Of course, rhodies are an excellent choice for Pacific Northwest gardens. They are very deer resistant, and you can get a rhododendron for almost any pocket you might have in your garden, be it large or giant. And next to that, we have the smoke bush, another great plant for foliage color all season, especially fall color. Interesting little puff of smoke cloud flowers. And then next to that, we have the plant whose name is just left my head, the aucuba. So aucubas are great for dark shade. They grow anywhere, especially shade and especially deep shade. So they're a great plant for you to use for deer resistance in those difficult shady spots. Then for perennials, we have Phygelius, otherwise known as Cape Fuchsia. This can be a bit of a runner, but as my friend Martha, who works here, said, she says sometimes you need a thug. So it's also an excellent centerpiece for a pot. So if you have big pots in your garden where the deer sometimes browse, this is a great centerpiece plant. And the hummingbirds love Phygelius. So that's another way to bring those cute little birds into your garden. Peonies are an excellent deer-resistant choice, and they are so luscious right now. They are good for sun or open shade, and we don't need to really say much more. Those flowers are stunning. For sunny gardens, some great reliable perennials would be the Erysimum, which makes a fragrant perennial all year long. They sometimes will throw off flowers through the winter, and they keep going all summer. So this is a great, the Erysimum or wallflower is a great flower for your garden. And the hummers also love these. Agastache, the Mexican hyssop, these are excellent choices for deer resistance and rabbit resistance. Their foliage has a nice herby smell, and their flowers crank through all summer. And birds and bees alike love this plant. Comes in a range of colors. And then, of course, Russian sage is a wonderful, great fragrance, blue flowers, perfect for really hot, dry, difficult conditions, and the deer won't even touch it. They hate that smell. Then I'm going to go to the other side of the park here. Miscanthus is one of many grasses that are deer resistant. They come tall and they come short, but the deer rarely eat miscanthus. Panicum is another great deer resistant grass. The blue oat grasses, the carex, mostly deer leave them alone. Rabbits might nibble them, but mostly the deer leave them alone, especially if you protect them when they're little. Once they're big, they kick in that yucky tasting, yucky texture leaf, and the critters leave them alone. Of course, lavender, the standard, the gold standard for a deer-resistant and rabbit-resistant plant. Need I say more about lavender? Likes it hot and dry, doesn't like mulch up around its neck, great plant. Catmint is another plant that is great for blue flowers all season long. Flowers like crazy, the hummers love it, the bees love it. It just keeps going and going. I have seen people use plants like this and the agastache as a border in a garden, and then there may be things beyond them that the deer might want to sample, but the deer don't want to cross this fragrant foliage, and so they'll stay away. I've seen that used to great effect. The last couple things on our little plant tour today, the penstemons. I am loving the penstemons. Great deer resistance, great rabbit resistance. So many colors to pick from. They love a poor soil. They like it rocky and hot with great drainage. And they come from short little mats to taller, good sized perennials. And Lithidora, everyone's favorite blue. That color is just hard to find in nature, and the deer leave it alone. This is a great ground cover perennial mat. It's evergreen. It flowers all early summer. It is a very generous flower show. So many options. Even if you live with deer, you can still have a vivid, interesting garden with flowers and color all year long. Come visit us. Thanks for watching.